My name is The Adipose and this is the Simpsons Tapped Out. In this video we're going to set ourselves the challenge of designing one of the more dull buildings in Springfield, the Department of Motor Vehicles, the DMV. Well, greetings everybody, and I do hope you were able to join me for this live city design stream last night. If you did not, then where were you? Every Saturday night, 9 PM over on twitch.tv/TheAdiposeTV, we design stuff live. And this is just going to be a quick summary of what we did last night. If you want to see the full show, of course, you can head over to twitch.tv and you can see the full recorded hour-long show there. But here's just going to be a few highlights of what we did. We set ourselves the challenge of designing the Springfield Department of Motor Vehicles because over the last few weeks we've actually designed some really pretty interesting looking buildings. The Buddhist temple, the casino, the prison, you know, very, very distinctive buildings. But this one is essentially a grey box with muddy greeny brown trim. It's not a very interestingly shaped building, which means it's what we do with this building that will make it look interesting rather than how it initially looks. So let's just go and visit a couple of my friends' cities to see what they've done before I show you my final design. Now here's a design by TSTO 28 from over on tappedout.co.uk, and as many other people have done, they've put together some sort of learn to drive course next to the department. There's been a huge variety of these, from like motorcycle courses, car courses, using traffic cones, sticking reindeers in there as obstacles, you know, loads and loads of different stuff along those lines. But I thought this one was done particularly well. I really like the inclusion of the purple wall, so we might use that as inspiration for our own. Obviously the Chalmers car is the only car at the moment, as far as I'm aware, that isn't premium and is available for the majority of the time. We've got a nice reference to Patty and Selma, putting their kind of like their stick figure in there as well. It's surrounded by some lovely other decorated buildings as well, which of course makes it look nice. And I really like the little touch of putting little gateways in the wall, using the railings fence to kind of show the way that the user or the human being would move from one area to the other. Really, really nice design. Now, of course, on top of visiting a few cities, we did visit a few forums as well during the live stream. We went over to the tappedout.co.uk What Did You Do With page. We went over to the TSTO forum, which is a really popular forum as well, with some really, really good designs on there as well, including one design I especially liked, which showed a crashed car, which had a car that had kind of crashed through a fence, through a hedge, and then what they'd done is they'd cleverly shown that all the hedges were in place except one piece that had been pushed out of the way, and then used small little bushes by the side to actually kind of show the bit where the hedge had kind of been destroyed, which I really, really liked as an idea, because obviously these guys here would be learning to drive rather than just being kind of perfect straight away. We also briefly popped over to the official EA forum, which of course had their own What Did You Do With page, and we also briefly talked about the upcoming interview with Nathan Rushton from Simpsons Tapped Out Topics as well. So if you've got any questions for him, do head over to that website and put your questions to him, which I will be asking him when we get to it. We also came over to a few other cities. In particular, we came over to the lovely Magnificent city for a very different style of Springfield motor vehicle. This one didn't go with the traffic course quite so much, although we do have a big truck over here, but more went with this idea of kind of queuing, because obviously if this is where Patty and Selma work, then they're very, very slow. They always have huge queues. They always have people waiting outside. So to have this kind of extended queue system go outside, I thought was quite humorous and a lovely little touch. If you're feeling a little bit donut-tastic, you've got the student driver limos here. They will cost you donuts, but obviously student drivers, Department of Motor Vehicles, they go very, very nicely together, and it works nicely to kind of help to set this building apart as well. The other thing about the hazards, of course, it brings in a nice little splash of yellow to kind of break up the grey as well and make a more interesting design. So thank you very much to both Tahito and Magnificent and all the other designers that I featured last night. But let me show you what I came up with. And I actually, even if you were with me last night, I did actually do a big redesign this morning because I wasn't happy with what I came up with. So this is what I did. I'm trying to get a river through my city, as you've probably seen over my last few city design videos. It comes down here past the Burns Manor. It's going to come back past the Buddhist temple, where we've kind of got a little lake area, past the prison, and then it's going to kind of come past the city. So I wanted to kind of have this river it's getting smaller and smaller. Basically, it's gone from kind of like 3 squares to 2 squares, and now it's kind of looking more like a stream. And so what I did is I moved all of the buildings over one, so the river can kind of go through the road, which gives me a nice, lovely way of having these little kind of drawbridge sections to extend. Obviously, they don't go up and down, but just little bits that go over the river, which I thought was a nice. It's nothing to do with the DMV, but it is to do with making where I've placed the city with these buildings kind of look more decorative. It's not just a grey square followed by a grey square. We've got blues and greens coming in there as well, and then the stream kind of continues on behind there. And then we used the purple wall idea from TSTO. We put a small bit of car parking in on the left hand side, and then a Chalmers car on the right hand side, which then kind of it doubles up the car park idea, so the viewer kind of thinks there's another car park square underneath where the Chalmers car. Of course there isn't, because you can't put one there, but it works as design. A couple of little and then a few little decorations that I like to think of as almost like invisible decorations, like you don't actually necessarily realise that they're additions to the original design because they look quite natural. So here we've got 2 benches, 2 lampposts, and a phone box. Now if you look at that, you wouldn't initially kind of go, oh yeah, he's added those, because it just kind of looks part of the original design of the building, and I really like that in some cases. The lampposts kind of frame the door, because obviously if you came here late at night, you'd have to kind of see your way in. The phone box, obviously, to call people, and the benches are for people waiting for results of their test or waiting for their driving examiner. And then behind, still part of the same complex, we've got my little driving course. I used the little kind of bridges over the river there to give me my entrances, and then the railings are the kind of the way in and the way out. I used the traffic cones to kind of lay out a bit of a kind of course. It's slightly thin, I don't think a car actually could get through there, but a motorbike certainly could. But at the end of the day, it's all a bit of make-believe anyway, but you can see the principle of that. There's a traffic cone course there. And then I shamelessly ripped off this crashed car idea. I've got the hazard bars around there. I've got a purple wall out of place. I've used one of those little bits of trash, and it's not the right colour wall, but it does give you this impression that there's a broken down bit of wall there. Obviously if there was a purple bit of broken wall, I would have used that, but you have to deal with it. And then of course the hazards signs as well, really making it look like something has gone very, very wrong here. Now what I had to do to get that piece of wall jutting out was put another building behind it, because obviously if I put a road at the end here behind the wall, you can't put decorations on that road, and obviously I couldn't put decorations in the river either, so I had to put just another little building behind it to give me room to make that crash effect. So I went and grabbed another, to be blunt, reasonably dull building, the Adult Education Annex. Just put a bit of a fence around it, a dumpster, and of course this crashed wall, and I think it looks quite nice, because they're both kind of council-y buildings as well, community buildings run by the people, for the people, so they work quite well as a nice area. So there we go. We took a dull building and we put it together. Of course, Patty and Selma had to make an appearance as well, so I put a kind of grass square in them. I originally last night had them out the front, but I actually decided I preferred them actually as part of the course, kind of overwatching what was kind of going on behind. I hope that's given you some ideas for your own designs of the DMV. If you come up with something good, why don't you drop me a line? Please join me for next week's live stream on Saturday night, where we're probably going to be looking at the Squidport. So you need to be making sure you've got yourself some of these lovely Squidport tiles, so you have enough room to put your designs in. I do hope you're well. Take care. Please like the video if you found it useful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.